All right, so this is just a quick video to talk about the difference between our two types of cell division that we need to know for our reproduction unit, and they are mitosis and meiosis. So, two different ways that your body can produce new cells. Just a quick reminder, remember we did our cells topic, and that allowed us to understand how a cell is structured. And we know that the nucleus is a really important organelle for our cells, and it's important because it contains the DNA that your body needs or that you need as the instructions for how to build things and how to keep living day to day. So we're talking about our body's ability to produce new cells, and there's two different reasons that your body would want to produce new cells. And they come down to growth and repair. So sometimes you need new cells to allow your body to grow and repair damaged tissue, maybe, or replace cells that need replacing. And you also need to produce new, very specialized cells as part of reproduction in order to create new life. So we can see that in this diagram here, these cells here would need to be produced in a different way to allow them to be compatible in fertilization. So when a sperm cell would meet an egg cell. After this point, when we've got a newly fertilized cell or egg, we would need to then undergo growth because that one cell needs to grow into two cells, which would grow into four cells, and it keeps going and going. So this is a little bit of both. So our two processes, mitosis and meiosis, we're definitely going to learn more about these in future years in science. There's lots to know about the different stages that they happen in, and what happens at each stage and how the process works to not make any mistakes and do the job properly. But for now, we're just going to leave it at a quick overview. So mitosis is by and large what happens most in the body, because this is the one that produces exactly the same cell in the daughter cells as the parent cell. So this process makes identical copies of cells. You can see here, this picture shows the nucleus of a cell. And in this nucleus, we can see 4 pieces of DNA called chromosomes. After this cell undergoes mitosis, which is just a division of the cell, we end up with cells that have exactly the same number of chromosomes, of pieces of DNA, as what we started with. So mitosis works to take a parent cell and create 2 identical daughter cells with a full amount of DNA. If this was a human cell, there would be a lot more DNA in the cell. This one's just being used as an example. If this was a human cell, there would be 46 pieces of DNA in that cell, and we would get 46 chromosomes in our daughter cells. So this process is used when the body needs to grow or repair to make new cells. Meiosis, on the other hand, can you see the difference? See how we've got our starting parent cell with the 4 chromosomes still? But after we divide, twice in this case, we end up with cells that have only 2 chromosomes in each. So that's half the number of the first cell, which means that these are now called haploid. They have half the number of chromosomes. And these cells would go on to mature into egg cells or sperm cells. So meiosis is a type of cell division that creates daughter cells that have only half the genetic information, and there's 4 of them as a result, and they would form what we call sex cells, egg and sperm cells in humans. The reason we need our sperm and our egg cells to contain only half the amount of genetic information is because when they come together and fertilize with half the DNA in the sperm and half the DNA in the egg, that will create a full number of chromosomes for that baby to go on to develop with. So remember we said that there'd be 46 chromosomes in a normal human cell. So each of the sperm or the egg cells would have 23 chromosomes being carried. And so when fertilization takes place, 23 chromosomes being carried by the sperm and 23 chromosomes in the egg cell would come together to make the full set of 46. After fertilization, then, mitosis would take place, and those cells would grow and divide into the features that they need to be for a normally developing baby. And that is just a quick comparison of mitosis versus meiosis.